EA Sports. It's in the game.
What's good, YouTube? DM Gaming here, guys. Hope everybody's having an awesome day. If you're not, man, what's going on with you today? You know, let us know in the comment section down below because, guys, let's be honest. Mental health and being able to talk and have somebody to talk to is extremely important and stuff like that, man. As you know, we all as men and young men know. So I always want to have an open space for that. This is kind of my therapy in a way. So anyway, for today's video, guys, I actually want to make a tier list because before I go on to the next thing, because we've talked about Dynasty mode, we have talked about, what else have we talked about? We've talked about Road to Glory. By the way, guys, I want to thank y'all for the support that y'all have been giving me on the channel, man. It's been amazing. I couldn't wait to do my college football videos again. And yeah, for those who watch for Dragon Ball related content, I'll still be doing that. That's not by any means going away. But I want y'all who are new to the channel to also understand, stick with the channel for the content that you come here for, be it Dragon Ball or football. Right now, college football is right there on release. I have a lot of stuff planned for it. I'm a huge fan of football. I'm a big fan of anime. So, you know, I'm covering what I love, and it makes me happy to be able to cover what I love and get the support. Y'all have been phenomenal on these past videos. Continue watching, continue sharing. Thank you so much. So since I've been recently talking about Dynasty and Road to Glory, I wanted to make a tier list for us, or for me. Y'all can rate it. Let me know what y'all think. But yeah, I want to make a tier list for Dynasty mode or even Road to Glory. Like, who would I want to play with? Or who would be the best possible teams to build a dynasty with, if that makes sense. So this possibly could be a longer video. Stick with it. I'm gonna go through this. I'm probably not gonna put every single team here in a category, but so we have S tier, which would be the ideal, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and safe picks. So jumping off with safe picks, Georgia is definitely a safe pick. I would say Alabama's a safe pick. Would Penn State be a safe pick? USC would be a safe pick. These are your top tier teams that you know are going to do well, and really more established programs that you really don't have to rebuild. Notre Dame I would consider a safe pick. Penn State would be a safe pick. Baylor, no. Ohio State definitely a safe pick with Ohio State. Oklahoma's an interesting one. Would you consider Oklahoma to be a safe pick? We'll put a fork in that one. Let's see who else we have here. Tennessee, Colorado's not a safe pick. You got Tech, Oregon. Oregon to me would be a safe pick, even though they're gonna have to have a new quarterback. Oregon's just one of those programs that they're gonna be legit regardless. LSU, another safe pick. I'm filling up these safe picks, baby. My God. No, my Longhorns. Texas would definitely be a safe pick, man. Those guys are freaking loaded. They are loaded to the T. Florida State would be a safe pick, in my opinion. Despite everything that went on, those guys are loaded year in and year out. A&M. See, if I don't put A&M in there, the A&M people are going to be, well, you didn't put A&M in there. They're a safe pick. I got space for what? One more team in the safe pick? Michigan. Michigan. I mean, you look at the teams that's left here. And guys, yeah, I don't have all 134 teams. But Clemson. I mean, coming off of a national championship win, I have to put Michigan there. Heck, yeah, no, definitely not Washington. So I can put Michigan there. Can I add another team? Okay, I could add another team if I want to, but we'll leave it right there. So safe picks right now: Georgia, Alabama, USC, Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, LSU, Texas, Florida State, and Michigan. The reason for these teams being safe picks is because their programs are established. And don't get me wrong, there's some programs on here that are established, but out of the ones that are here, guys, if you playing with any one of these teams in dynasty mode, you ain't got to worry about a thing. Like, they going to be legit. They're going to compete. They're going to do well. They're going to, you know what I'm saying? So now D tier wise, D tier. D tier are teams that are good, that have a history, but I mean haven't had success in a while. Or Auburn to me is definitely a D tier. They're a school that's right there. They're in a good conference. If they could compete in that conference, it puts them in a good platform. Let me see who else. See, Utah. Oh man, I don't know. I know this might sound crazy to y'all, but Utah to me is a D tier. Oh, no. Let's put a fork back in Utah. We'll put a fork in that. Let me see. OU is definitely a D tier. History program, very good every year. So I would definitely put them there. I have no clue what is this? That's just a bunch of schools. Let me see. Who else would be a D tier? UConn, the Lou, Arizona, Florida. Florida's definitely. See, Florida could have been a safe pick. Nah, yeah, Florida's D tier. And guys, I'm not talking D tier as far as talent. I'm saying as far as teams that you want to start a dynasty with or possibly play for in Road to Glory. These are your safe picks, D tier. So the tiers are going to go down. You know what I'm saying? S tier is going to be the teams that you can really use to rebuild a very successful program. These programs are really, really established for the most part. Would TCU be a D tier? I don't think, nah. Going into this season, I don't see TCU being like a D tier as far as safer. Like, and guys, the way that this is set up is from bottom to top, you're going from the teams that you're gonna have a chance to be extremely successful playing with these teams. Because one thing to note in NCAA or EA Sports College Football 25 is that from what they have said, that just like on TV, like if I'm Alabama and I'm playing, let's say Charlotte, I am going to run them out of the arena, out of the football stadium. And I like that they're doing that because what it does is it creates it to where, heck, if Charlotte was to beat Alabama, everybody would be in shock. You know what I'm saying? So it creates that in game that if you were to lose to one of these teams, it is a major upset. Does that make sense? And in NCAA 14, those subdivision schools, because remember, they didn't have those teams in there. They just put like FCS Northwest in it. But they actually got pretty decent. Let's see who else would be a D tier. TCU, blah, 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 blah. A&M would be a D tier. I would consider them D tier. Wisconsin, Clemson, definitely a D tier. Because they're not a safe pick, but Clemson is Clemson. They're gonna compete year in and year out. UCLA, K-State. I think that's going to do it. That's going to do it for my D tier picks. So, going into C tier, all right, I definitely want to put Miami C tier. The reason why Miami C tier and not D tier, Miami been struggling the past couple of years. But Miami is also one of those schools that you're going to get those 4 and possibly 5-star recruits at Miami. Like, yeah, they're going to have those guys. Washington, just because they're former runner-up, they're runner-ups in the national championship game, they lost everybody. But with that being said, they're still going to be contenders. They're expected to be contenders. Who else do we want to put in C tier? I want to put Tennessee in there. Tennessee has been talented the past couple of years, but Tennessee hasn't had a lot of success in the SEC. Putting them C tier, mostly because only reason I wouldn't put them at a lower tier is because they're in the SEC. They're in the SEC, man. SEC, you're going to attract talent just from being in that conference alone. And this is all opinionated, guys. If you know, I'd love to hear what y'all would think. Nebraska, I'm gonna skip over them for C tier, and I'm gonna explain that later. Let me see. Who else do we have here? Michigan State would definitely be C tier to me. They're an established program. They're not terrible. They have some history, but they're also, it's Michigan State. You're going to get some top-level recruits being at Michigan State. Let's see. South Carolina, mostly because they're in the SEC. You're gonna draw a crowd there. And they didn't do too bad. Utah, to me, would be a C tier. Utah is they're a good program. Like, they hadn't, been to many top-notch bowl games or anything like that. But historically, when you look back even to the Alex Smith era in Utah, they were legit. Like, they had some guys. They did. They definitely had some guys. Let's see. I think that is probably gonna do it for the C tier. I kind of want to put North Carolina in there, but I'm not going to. All right, so B tier. This is now we're getting into those teams where, you really probably want to consider doing a dynasty with these guys because they're the middle of the road. These are the ones that they're good. They have a good program. You're set up to get some decent recruits, but you're definitely not bottom of the barrel as far as not having a program established. And I can definitely start off with Arkansas. Excuse me, Razorback fans, but Arkansas they're in the SEC, man, and that's what helps out Arkansas. They have history. They're a very well-known college football organization, but these guys have struggled, man. And the only thing that keeps them out of A and S tier is because they're in the SEC. I ain't gonna front, because if you're in the SEC, you're gonna be able to recruit guys just because of that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get those high caliber players. Not as many as a LSU would get, a Tennessee would get. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Arkansas, gosh dang it, man. It would be really fun to do a dynasty with them, especially with them being in the SEC. But I got to put them there. I got to put them there. North Carolina, to me, would be a B tier. Mac Brown's done an awesome job with that program. They're not terrible, but they're also not well known. Now, they're not a football school by any means. But yet and still, them being in the ACC, they're in a Power 4 conference. It's tough for me to put them at the top because we're looking at S tier being program builders, like a solid team that you could build. You can build and make your mark with these programs. Let me see who else. This B tier is probably going to be pretty full here. Washington State, to me, would be a B tier. They've had success over the past years and stuff like that. They compete against Power 4 schools. They're used to it. Rivals with Washington, you know what I'm saying? So they're going to draw some decent high-level recruits. Ole Miss, SEC connection right there. Definite B tier. Stanford, to me, because it's Stanford. It's Stanford. You're going to get some high-level recruits to Stanford, but at the same time, Stanford, to me, is... man, I don't see a lot of people just wanting to rebuild Stanford or trying to make Stanford into a powerhouse. They've definitely had talent in the past, but since, gosh dang, they've had some talent, but let's leave them B tier. Let's TCU definitely, to me, is a good, solid B tier team. And let's be honest, guys, B tier teams, these are teams that okay, I would say this would be hardcore difficulty mode. As far as starting a dynasty and trying to build a program. S tier is going to be your hardcore difficulty mode. A tier is going to be hard mode. B tier is going to be normal mode. Okay? Easy, Very easy, and safe pick is you just in it for the story. You get what I'm saying? So B tier is like your normal. Like if you play with these schools, you're gonna have success. While you may not win a conference championship, you got a good chance of making it to the college football playoffs. These bottom tier teams, like, bro, there's no reason why you shouldn't. With 12 teams being in there, okay? So does that put that into perspective? UCLA, definitely a B tier. I don't know if I would put West Virginia as a B tier. I don't know if I would put them as a B tier. Nebraska. Gosh, I hate to put Nebraska as a B tier, guys. But, man, what Matt Rule is doing at Nebraska, he is doing a phenomenal job. Nebraska would be a very fun team to play with because they have a storied history. They've been to national championship games. They've won national championships. They've had famous people come from there, guys, and make it to the NFL and stuff like that. They're not in the best conference in the world, but at the same time, these guys compete. They compete. They are going to be, this is your normal mode. Your normal mode. Iowa, we'll put Iowa in there. I mean, Iowa, they're a decent team. They're not terrible. Oh my goodness, Arizona State. Let's skip over Arizona State for right now. Blue. Colorado, God bless. I'm gonna put Colorado in there. I'm putting Colorado as B tier because while it would be fun to do a dynasty with them, Colorado got some dogs. They do. And they're going to, gosh, man, yeah, I think they're going back to the Big 12. But they got some dogs. They got some 4 and some 5-star guys on there, man. But their O-line and D-line is where I draw question marks. So that's where you're going to struggle there. Recruiting-wise, yeah. Colorado definite B tier. Let's leave them there. Mississippi State, I'm going to go ahead and put them B tier as well because of the SEC connection. Like I said, this is normal mode. You're going to be able to draw some recruits to Mississippi State just from being in the SEC. Oklahoma State, another B tier school because Oklahoma State has always been successful in the Big 12. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, especially with Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. There's no reason Oklahoma State shouldn't be the top dog in that conference. So expect them to have a lot of success. Syracuse, I'd put them there from being in the ACC. Missouri, B tier because of the SEC connection. Let me share. Yeah. Ooh, North Carolina State, Northwestern, I'll put them B tier as well. Maryland, I'll put them a B tier program. Louisville, definite B tier. B tier is pretty stacked, man. You got some choices here. Cal, B tier. BYU, B tier. Boston College, B tier mostly because of the conference that they're in. Baylor Bears. Guys, I'm probably upsetting some people with some of these picks. They're like, what? What are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's solid for the B tier programs. So now, Kansas State. Let's throw Kansas State in B tier because it'll be between them and Oklahoma State for the Big 12. Yeah. My bad, Kansas State fans. So now A tier. A tier is your hard difficulty. These are schools that are in good conferences that you're going to get some decent recruits from, but you're still going to have to play to compete in those conferences. They don't have the best history, but they have some history. You get what I'm saying? So definitely Arizona's definitely A tier. Rutgers definitely A tier. Let's see. Iowa State, I would say, is an A tier school. Virginia, Baylor, definitely A tier. SMU, A tier team, because SMU is going to the ACC, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, you know what? Yeah. SMU, they've been pulling in some high profile recruits over the past couple of years, and they've been winning ever since they got put out. Like like y'all know the death thing that happened at SMU, and the program literally died. And my cousin actually played there, and they won some games, but they, back then they was in Conference USA. Now they're going to the ACC, where they'll be playing teams like Clemson. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put them at A tier because, guys, this would be a really good rebuild. They're getting new renovations done to their stadium. They've been winning games. Now they'll be playing Florida State, your Clemsons, and they're in Dallas. They're in Texas. They're a Texas school, guys. Them being in the ACC, they have a chance to really start pulling in some high-profile recruits. Now, and with the new facilities on top of that, you know what I'm saying? SMU is not a bad choice at all. If you want a school that you can win games, you're going to have to play to win, and you're going to have to do pretty well at recruiting. But with them going into the ACC, that's why I'm putting them at an A tier, because that's going to be a challenge. An interesting challenge nonetheless, but definitely a challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, they got some dogs out there, but man, that's going to be a fun tier to play with. West Virginia, A tier. Let's see who else. Duke, I would put them at an A tier. You know what I'm saying? Being in the ACC as well. Malik Murphy transferring from Texas to Duke. Duke is on the rise, but Duke has never been known as a football school. But they are definitely getting better as a football school. They're fun to watch. Keep a lookout on them. They're definitely not the hardest team to play with. Like I said, with their conference there, and they're going to draw some good recruits. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be tough. Cincy, definitely put them there. Appalachian State, I would definitely put them, because Appalachian State has had a history of knocking off some big time schools. They're a good program. They're better than the S tier. They're not going to have as much of a challenge just because of that notoriety and stuff like that. So I would definitely put them there. Illinois, the Fighting Illini, only because they're not as bad as some of the other schools, if that makes sense. USF, Southern Florida, Texas Tech, I would definitely put them there. UConn would be an A tier. The University of Houston. I know people may say, you know what? Oh, man. Houston could be a B tier. But looking at these B tier schools, yeah, that's a good spot for Houston. That's a good. Pittsburgh, definitely an A tier. Arizona State would be an A tier. Some people probably argue a B tier, but they just hadn't been there for me. Georgia Tech, I'm actually going to put them at a B tier. Because Georgia Tech been balling. Case King, man, dude from Longview, went to A&M, transferred over there. They're running a new style of offense now. Those guys are building something special. Let me see who else. Colorado State, I would place them at an A tier. Wake Forest, just because of conference. Kansas, A tier. Oregon State, A tier. Purdue, I'd put them at an A tier. Let me see who else. UTSA. UTSA. Kentucky, A tier. Oh my gosh. Minnesota, A tier. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's about gonna do it for me. I really want to put UTSA and God bless. Memphis would be an A tier. Boise, oh man, do you want to put Boise in there, guys? Because Boise State, I'm gonna go ahead and put UTSA in there because they've been balling here recently. And Boise's got history. Boise's got history. Yeah. Now, for your A tier schools, all right. Indiana definitely could be A tier. I didn't see them right there. What school is that? I don't even know what school that is. Utah State. Yeah, that's an A tier school. A tier for Utah State. I don't know what that is right there. Now, these schools that are left, okay? People, don't get upset with me, man. Don't get upset with me about it. Air Force, S tier. No history of football whatsoever. Nobody's expecting them to do anything. Along with them, I would say Navy and Army. Military people, there's no disrespect to y'all, but nobody expects these programs to do anything, okay? And I really hate to even put them up here or even on the list at all because they are military schools and do they really play to compete for a chance in the college football playoffs? Honestly. You know what I'm saying? So take them with a grain of salt. Now, Georgia Southern, unestablished program, difficult. You're going to have difficulty playing with those guys. Hawaii. Hawaii could be a B-tier school, but, bro, nobody hears about Hawaii. Not since, like, the Colt Brennan era, man. Like, Hawaii would be a school that you're going to struggle with. You'll probably get some decent recruits, but you're definitely going to be, if you want to build a program, Hawaii is going to be it. Rice, no words needed for that. San Jose State is a decent team. They're in a good location. California, you got some big-time recruits coming out of there. If you can keep any of them in state, you can build a pretty good program right there. UMass, because they're unestablished. Charlotte has had some success, but they're still going to be a climb. Temple just been around big-time football forever, and they just hadn't climbed the ranks. The Lobos of New Mexico, they're in there. Ohio, you got to put them in there. Texas State, man. CJ Kinney, man. The Gilmer grad, the Texas Longhorn. CJ Kinney has been doing a great job there, football-wise. He is building that Texas State program, and they're in Texas. Now you got Texas going to the SEC. A&M's already in the SEC, so it's a chance for those other Texas schools to pull some of those recruits out of the state of Texas. They could be pretty good, be a pretty good program to build up. University of Louisiana Monroe, no history there. Montana, Middle Tennessee State, Akron. A sleeper pick to me is UAB. UAB, I think they'd even at one point done away with a football program for a season or two and then brought it back. Florida International, Central Florida. Actually, let's put Central Florida as a tier. Central Florida is not a bad team at all. You look at them similar to the other teams that are in here, and they could beat a lot of these teams. But, God bless. Heck, they actually, you know what? Let's move Central Florida up to S tier. Because Central Florida, they're pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? Central Michigan, the Chanticleers, I'm putting them B tier, dog. Coastal Carolina got to be B tier. Or A tier, I'm sorry. Coastal Carolina has been doing their thing. They're not the hardest team to play with. They have been winning ball games. They've had some upset. They've pulled some upsets. They are building something special. I wouldn't see them beating, Ole Miss or Louisville or whatever, but those guys have been putting in the work. Louisiana Lafayette, Raging Cajuns, Florida Atlantic, Liberty. Liberty is also going A tier. They're building something special there. Bowling Green would be S tier for me. Kent State would be S tier. Old Dominion, Georgia State, UNLV, definitely. University of Miami of Ohio. Southern Miss is going A tier. Tulsa, another A tier team. Tulsa has been having pretty good seasons here of late. Actually, Southern Miss. Let's put Southern Miss S tier. If you can build a program there, man, you deserve the Heisman. Louisiana Tech, Nevada, New Mexico State, Northern Illinois. I'm going to put North Texas. I'm going to put North Texas as a, let's put them as an S tier. They're no history there. Marshall, the Thundering Herd, not as thundering as they used to be. San Diego State, I'm actually going to put as an A tier. Surprisingly, they've had some seasons. You know what I'm saying? Wyoming, to me, would be an S tier. Southern Alabama, yeah, I got to put them there. Eastern Michigan, Toledo, Troy. I have no idea what school this is. Somebody tell me in the comments. Buffalo, Ball State, definitely. UTEP, to me, surprisingly, A tier. Just because they're in the state of Texas, I think they can pull some good recruits. Vanderbilt. Vandy, man, God bless. They're in the SEC, man. I got to put them A tier just because of that. And then Wyoming also A tier. So that is my list, guys. So if you're looking at this and you're wondering, okay, what schools would be good schools that I could start a dynasty with and have the toughest time winning, go with those S-tier schools, guys. You are not going to pull the best recruits. You are not going to start with the best teams nor the best facilities. But hopefully they let us upgrade facilities and stuff like that. And then you can, you know what I'm saying, upgrade and then build a big program. These S-tier schools are your pick. The A-tier schools are schools with established programs. They have some history. They're in decent conferences. They're not terrible teams, but they're definitely not the best teams to play with. All right. These are your A-tier schools. This is like your S-tier is like your very hard difficulty. A-tier is going to be your hard difficulty. Okay. You're not going to blow people out of the water playing with these teams here. Even Appalachian State. Okay, you might blow out your conference, but you get in the playoffs facing off against Ohio State, you're going to be in trouble. Kansas, to me, would be a fun school to play with. Pittsburgh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Very fitting. I think we did good with the A tier. The B tier schools are just a step up from A tier. There are schools that are in great conferences. You're going to pull some good recruits, but they just traditionally haven't been the best. Okay, or they're set up this year to, maybe struggle a little bit. You get what I'm saying? Nebraska, to me, out of these schools, Nebraska and TCU definitely possibly could be C-tier schools. But I'm leaving them B tier right now. Okay. These schools, yeah, I'm definitely leaving all of these schools B tier. Shout out to Ole Miss. I know some people are probably real upset about that. C-tier schools, they're going to say, well, you got the University of Miami in there, man, because Miami is going to pull the big-time recruits. So is Michigan State. Tennessee, Washington is, you know, just because they lost every dang body. I know people will say, well, they was in the national championship game last year. They lost everybody, okay? So I'm not putting them there. But these schools are going to compete, man. This is like you know, this is what? Hard, very hard, normal mode, easy mode. Utah got some dogs. Utah gets in and whoops butt. So does South Carolina. And then, of course, D tier. These schools are going to get some top-notch recruits. They're going to be loaded year in and year out. Have some of the best talent in the nation, but yet and still, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to win some of those big-time games against these safe picks. And these are the teams that, guys, you can start a dynasty with them today. And if you don't go to the playoffs, something is wrong with you, not the team. Does that make sense? So, man, this was fun. This was fun. We need to do some more tier stuff. I know it's a longer running video, but let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below, man. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to screenshot this because this is got me wondering, who do I want to start my dynasties with? Like I said, I know I'm going to do one with Texas and Colorado, but my rebuild. Oh, I'm liking SMU. I'm liking SMU, but I'm also liking Kansas, man. And they ain't in the Big 12, so they ain't got to play my Longhorns no more. So I don't know. Who are y'all going to pick? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, if you've made it this long in the video. But that's all I got for right now, guys. Till next time, thanks for watching. Peace.
EA Sports. It's in the game.